Welcome to The Explainer. Every single month, the human body tells this incredibly complex and powerful story. It's a story of preparation, of renewal, and today we're going to decode that biological story, because understanding it is a huge part of understanding and protecting your own health.
So, we're diving into one of the most fundamental processes in all of human biology. It's this amazing, intricate cycle of getting ready, releasing, and then resetting. And it happens over and over again.
And here it is, the whole journey in one picture. The menstrual cycle is basically a 28-day loop, give or take. It all starts with shedding the uterine lining, then moves on to releasing an egg, and finally preparing the body for what might happen next. So, let's break this down step by step.
Now, the first thing you've got to know is that this whole process isn't random at all. Nope, it's a precisely timed biological rhythm, a predictable pattern that's absolutely fundamental to reproductive health.
On average, this rhythm repeats about every 28 days. It usually kicks in during early adolescence, and the whole show is directed by a powerful cast of chemical messengers that we call hormones.
To really get this, I want you to imagine a hormonal orchestra. Seriously, each hormone has to play its part at the exact right time to create this perfect monthly symphony that is the menstrual cycle.
The main conductors here? Well, you've got the pituitary gland, which is way down at the base of the brain, and then you've got the ovaries. The pituitary is like the command center. It sends out the signals. The ovaries then produce their own hormones and, carry out the main events of the cycle.
And here they are, our four lead musicians. You've got FSH and LH coming from the pituitary gland, and estrogen and progesterone from the ovaries. Each one has a super specific job, from getting an egg ready to making sure the uterus is prepared for a potential pregnancy.
So, the performance kicks off with Act 1. And this first act is all about getting everything ready. You can think of it as building the stage for a possible pregnancy.
And the cycle officially starts with menstruation, what most of us just call a period. This is when the uterine lining from the month before breaks down because an egg wasn't fertilized. That shedding, that marks day one.
Okay, so as soon as menstruation ends, the rebuilding process begins. The pituitary gland sends out FSH, and that hormone basically tells an egg in the ovary, hey, time to start maturing. As that egg's little sac, the follicle, grows, it starts pumping out estrogen, which gets to work rebuilding the uterine wall, making it all thick and rich with blood vessels again.
All right, now we get to the climax of the cycle. This is the main event. It's this one singular, really powerful moment that's triggered by a huge hormonal surge.
And here's the trigger. Remember all that estrogen that was building up? Well, it hits a critical peak. And that peak sends this massive signal back to the pituitary gland, which responds by releasing a huge, sharp surge of our second pituitary hormone, LH.
This whole hormonal spike is the big trigger, and it all comes to a head right around the halfway point of the cycle, on or about day 14.
And that dramatic surge of LH, that is the direct cause of ovulation. It's the moment the mature egg is finally released from its follicle in the ovary. And now, that egg starts its journey down toward the uterus.
So after the main event, the body doesn't just, pack up and go home. Nope. It enters this waiting period, carefully maintaining the stage it's built just in case of a potential arrival.
So what about that little follicle that released the egg? Well, it's not done yet. It completely transforms into something called the corpus luteum. And this new structure is like a temporary hormone factory. Its main job? To produce our fourth key hormone, progesterone, which keeps that uterine lining thick and ready.
And at this point, the body reaches a major fork in the road. Path number 1, if the egg isn't fertilized, that corpus luteum breaks down, progesterone levels drop, and the uterine lining is shed, starting the whole cycle all over again. But if fertilization does happen, progesterone stays high, maintaining that uterine lining to support the early pregnancy.
Look, understanding this whole biological story is incredibly powerful. But this cycle, it doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? It's part of your bigger reproductive health picture. And protecting that system means being aware of outside risks like sexually transmitted infections.
So, a huge piece of this toolkit is understanding and preventing STIs, or sexually transmitted infections. Put simply, these are infections that are passed through bodily fluids during sexual contact.
And it is so important to know how STIs like HIV are spread. What's really key here is that a person can carry the virus for years without a single symptom, but still be able to transmit it. And as you can see, transmission can happen in several ways, not just through sexual contact.
So, what can you do? This is your practical toolkit. These are clear, actionable steps you can take to control the spread of STIs and protect yourself and, of course, others. It all starts with education and awareness, and it extends to consistent, practical actions like using protection and getting tested.
Ultimately, what this all comes down to is that understanding your body's biology, from the tiny details of the hormonal orchestra to the practical steps for staying safe, that's a form of power. It's the knowledge you need to advocate for your health and make informed decisions for your own well-being.